Hello fellow FPL managers and welcome to a look back at Game Week 2 and looking forward towards Game Week 3. So in this video we'll just take a quick look at my team, the transfers or transfer plans that I plan to make for the up and coming game week, and then we'll be reviewing the predictions I made for last week and looking forward to our Game Week 3 predictions. So first, let's round up Game Week 2. 44 points for myself, just above the average. Now, I know a lot of people suffered this week. A lot of people had a great Game Week 1 and a poor Game Week 2. I'm staying strong. I did do a previous video about, my last video was about wildcarding and whether or not I think, or hopefully you think you should do it or not. So if you want to check that out, that'll give you my whole view, because that feels like it's a hot topic this week. A lot of people have been wildcarding. A lot of people have been thinking about wildcarding. So the previous video on the channel covers all of the wildcarding points that I wanted to make. So having a look back at the previous game week, you can see only 3 returns. Luca Dean, of course, has had a great start to the season, but you can see that we've had no news yet about this injury. People thought it could have been a hamstring, but we're still not 100% sure. You can see 75% chance of playing. I really hope, but again, if he is only out for a week and he goes on the bench, that's fine, because Diop will come in, who is away to Watford. That's not the worst. I'm not going to transfer him out. He's been too good. He's been a great player, and Everton still have great fixtures as well. So if it's one game week, of course, I would love him to play, but I'm not going to get rid of him just for that. Everywhere else, pretty much blank. Robertson could have been sitting here with 14 plus points, to be honest. If Adrian hadn't have made that ridiculous mistake, that'd have been the clean sheet. He almost set up and scored himself in the game. So it's just those fine margins at the minute for Robertson. And I'll talk more about Robertson and my team and the transfers I made in just a minute. So Dunk, 3 points. You can see the rest is pretty much blanks all over. Sterling got a return, and Wilson again has got 2 returns in 2 weeks. He has got 2 assists in 2 weeks, which isn't great. You want your strikers to score. So moving on to the team that I'm looking to start with in game week 3. I have already made the 3 transfers. I did say that I was going to be more patient this season, and I did want to wait, but I really had no choice. So I'll just go through the predicament that I was facing. I had Fraser, Wilson and Perez. I did really want to give Perez that chance away to Sheffield United. I feel that Rodgers might end up going 2 up front and Perez gets a brace. But the predicament that I had is it was either Perez going out or Robertson going out. And I just felt as though I couldn't push another 4.5 million in there. If I'm only playing 3 at the back, I do feel 2 of them should be, 6. One of them should be about 6 million and one of them should be 6.5 or 7. And it was pointless me moving down to 6.5. So if I had to do the 3 transfers, so you can see Pookie is in. The Pookie plane has come around. I didn't really have a choice. I can't miss. I miss Jimenez all last season. It feels like I can keep Pookie. I'm not expecting him. The reason why I needed those 3 transfers, you can see Ceballos has come in as well. He had a great debut against Arsenal, 2 assists. Again, I'm not expecting a lot from him. I just really wanted Kevin De Bruyne. The plan pre-season, I did mention it before in past videos and past the stream I did on Friday. The plan was Kevin De Bruyne. He just had to stay fit, and he is doing really, really well. And I've wanted him in the side in for Fraser, and I had to make the transfer. So I was taking a -4 hit. I had 2 free transfers, and I had to do something. I didn't actually want to get rid of Wilson either, but it was sort of between Perez and Robertson and maybe Wilson. Wilson to Pookie was always going to happen. That is a popular trend, but I was losing too much money. Perez could get a price drop. Fraser did get a price drop, could go further down. Wilson could be on the verge of a price drop as well, with a lot of people going Wilson to Pookie. So I had to act. And with the volatile market right now, I didn't want to make a transfer on a Tuesday. And remember, guys, the deadline is Friday. There's Friday night football, okay? So don't wait till Saturday morning this time. But I wanted to make a transfer now because I would have been priced out of this move. So Ceballos is already up 0.1 million, could go up again. De Bruyne is already up 0.1 million, he's 9.6. And Pookie is 6.7, he's already gone up twice. Looks like he could go up a 3rd time. If I didn't make that move today, Tuesday, I would have been absolutely screwed. I wouldn't have been able to make transfers, and I could have lost even more money with the likes of Fraser and Wilson. So that's the reason behind why I've gone for the -4. Again, I'm not looking for a lot from Ceballos. I know he's away to Liverpool and then at home to Spurs. But for that price, if he can tick along and get something in the next 3 games, then he's worth it. This is a team that I'm looking to possibly take me to a wild card. The only problem that I'm having is the next move I can make that I would have made if it would have been Robertson out. It would have been Robertson out, and I could have upgraded Sigurdsson up to Heung-min Son at Spurs. But I want to wait first and see whether or not he's actually going to play. Is he going to start? And if he's going to pick up the form that he had last season. So that's my personal team plans. I don't want to spend too long going around a lot of the other things. Hopefully I'm going to be doing another stream on Friday around 12 p.m. UK time, around lunchtime, maybe a little bit later. That's something, if you guys are interested in joining me as well, that'd be something great that I'd like to do, because then I can stay focused on the videos and chat to you guys on Friday. So I'm going to move on to reviewing last week's predictions and having a look at my predictions for game week 3. So as you can see, I did pretty well on the predictions last week. I didn't want to avoid or suggest, without being too obvious, I don't like suggesting obvious things or people to avoid, but I did say that the Chelsea defense was still a little bit too shaky for my liking. Weren't too sure on who the lineup still would be. It looks like Emerson. So Azpilicueta is the solid right back, but you never know. Alonso could come back in for Emerson despite Emerson's strong start. Christensen and Zuma, who's going to lose their place to Rudiger when Rudiger's fit? Is Rudiger fit for the up-and-coming weekend? We don't know. So again, that was right. They did concede only 1 to Leicester, but to be honest, I thought Leicester just about edged that game. Players to pick: Salah. 120 minutes really took its toll on the Liverpool man, and although he did have a fantastic one-on-one chance that I think early last season and most of last season and definitely the season before he'd have finished it, but he did miss a couple of big chances there, and Mane was absolutely on fire. A lot of people who are wildcarding are going from Salah to Mane, and that's a move that I probably personally would also make. Callum Wilson does get a small tick there. He did return an assist in the second minute, winning that penalty. And Sigurdsson, I'm trying so hard to stay patient with this man. He has had 2 really unlucky weeks. Everton in general are playing actually really well. They just still don't have that finisher. And this week Sigurdsson put a ball right on Richarlison's head, and he didn't put it away from about 7 yards out. He's got to get something soon. The chances are I'll give him at least 1 more week, but he could be the next move out. With the money now, I've got 0 in the bank. It could be a downgrade in terms of money to Martial, but we'll wait and see for next week. So player to risk, of course, a huge tick there. I suggested Pukki last week, and Pukki completely delivered there. 3 goals at home to Newcastle, loads of shots. I think it was 7 in the box, I think, that he had, and he creates chances. That's why he's in my side. I'm not expecting loads of him from him for the Chelsea game. I would like to see something from West Ham away. West Ham don't have the strongest of defenses, but I'm just worried that maybe some teams now will sort of twig on to say, hey, everything runs through this man, let's mark him out the game. But I had to board the train, or the plane in Pukki's case, and he did deliver. Unfortunately for Haller, it wasn't that it was bad that he gets across, he just missed the game through injury. Of course, I'm making this game on the Tuesday. We found out the team news later on in the week, and he didn't play. And you can see Seamus Coleman just behind my little Twitter logo there. Gets a tick as well because it was a clean sheet. Everton looking really strong at the back. I believe now they have the strongest defence in 2019 in terms of clean sheets, or maybe they're just behind Man City. But either way, a very impressive display there again at the back from Everton. So, players to avoid, or tactics to avoid, or things to avoid for this week. You can see wildcard. I mentioned the video before. I'm not going to go through all the points again, but I would be avoiding a wildcard. Please remember that if you use it now, you are done for 15 weeks. It's fine if I've met, again, I won't go through all the points, but if you really need this team surgery, you've got 5+ transfers to do, then I completely agree, but try to avoid it, because whatever you do now, whoever looks good in form, really hot now, might not be hot in 5 weeks, and you can't use another wild card for another 15 weeks, okay? Next one, place to avoid, you can see I've gone from Zaha. He has looked well off since this whole transfer saga didn't pull through, and Palace themselves look really toothless. it doesn't look like they can buy a goal at the moment. He had one shot attempt in the box within the whole 90 minutes against Sheffield United. I know it was away from home, but Crystal Palace used to be the big away from home side, and one shot from Zaha in the whole game is not good enough. And no disrespect to Sheffield United, but you should be having more chances if you're the main striker for a team against a newly promoted side. And the next one I'm going to say is Grealish at Villa. So Villa themselves are conceding so many chances. Grealish himself has lost 20 games in a row. It's a Premier League record. Now, he did have one big chance in the game and two chances in total, but only Luiz was actually behind him in all of the positions of the midfielders and the attackers in the game. Jack Grealish, only Luiz was behind him, so all the other wingers and strikers and midfielders for Villa seems to play higher up. A lot of his average touches and average positioning is sort of on the halfway line, and you don't really want to see that. So I would be avoiding Jack Grealish this week and Villa in general. Moving on to the players to pick, and it is hard to look past Mr. Irresistible, Dr. Assist, the king, the prince of assists, Kevin De Bruyne. He's had a great start to the season. The only question I think anyone really ever had over Kevin De Bruyne for 9.5 million as well, not even his price. He could be 10 million, he could be 11 million. He is still worth that price. He's a 200 point plus player. The only question we ever have with him is his fitness, his injury record, and possibly a little bit of pep rotation, but he looks irreplaceable at the moment. Almost Sterling-esque levels of being irreplaceable for Man City right now. Surprisingly as well, on average, he was the furthest player forward for Manchester City against Tottenham. They had over 3 in the expected goals charts, where I think Spurs was like 0.2, which is absolutely incredible. He also completed and performed the most crosses. He did 18 crosses in that game. The next player was Zinchenko on 4. He created 9 chances, and 3 of those chances were classed as big chances. I would definitely try and get this man into your side if it is possible. And if you're wildcarding, again, I think that's a no-brainer. Wan-Bissaka is another suggestion I've got here. Good clean sheet potential at home to that struggling Palace side. And he had 10 tackles in the game against Wolves. 9 of those tackles he won, and 6 more tackles than anyone else on the pitch. So again, I'm going for a clean sheet one there. And if you're kind of thinking Luca Dean might be injured, you don't want to risk it, even get a little bit of money back for now, then Wan-Bissaka might be the way to go. Finally, I think it's a pretty obvious one. Harry Kane, home to Newcastle, you know, who looks so bad at the back. And no disrespect to Pookie, but if he can get 3 goals, I'm pretty sure Kane can pick something up at home to Newcastle. My only worry here is it going to be the Cardiff situation? Cardiff looked terrible last season. A lot of people brought in Kane, even captain or triple captain Kane, and he blanked against Cardiff. That was away from home, though. Hopefully at home he's going to do the business. But it would be hard to look past a Spurs player against a very, very poor-looking Newcastle side. And going into the players to take a risk on, Heung-min Son is back. Now, of course, the issue here straight away is he back straight into the side? It's unsure. He is 9.5 million as well, which might put people off, especially if you want to go to De Bruyne. But think about it, you could be 0.1 out on De Bruyne now because his price has risen. But if you really, really do want that differential, Heung-min Son is only owned by 1.3%. So if you really want that punt, if you think he's going to play, he should deliver against Newcastle, then I think he's definitely one to take a risk on. If I were wildcarding this week, he would definitely be in my side because I wouldn't be doing a 1-week punt. He would be in my side for most of the season until the next wildcard, unless injury or a terrible dip in form, or for some reason he gets dropped. But if you're looking at the stronger Spurs side, then you should be looking at Son. Next one to take a risk on is Martial. Surprisingly, at the minute, only 12% ownership. That will skyrocket. He has scored 2 goals in 2 games. He looks like now he's the undisputed Manchester United striker alongside Rashford, even though Rashford plays a little bit wider. But for 7.6 million and in midfield in FPL, that is a pretty good player to own. He is also the furthest man forward on average for Manchester United, but he only did 1 goal attempt against Wolves, which isn't what you want to see, but again, it seems like I'm hating on Crystal Palace in this video, but with Crystal Palace at home, you would expect Martial to have a few more chances and possibly a few more goals. And I said it myself that if Sigurdsson does not get anything this week, I can't give him any more chances. I've got to go where players are hot and in form with good fixtures right now, and a downgrade in terms of price from Sigurdsson to Martial seems like the right move for me. And finally, we're going to look at the Brighton man, the Belgium at Brighton, Trossard. 2 goals he actually scored in his first game. He didn't play in game week 1. He played in game week 2. He did score 2 goals. One of them was disallowed by VAR, but it is promising to see him actually scoring 2 goals, even if one of them doesn't count. Only 6 million, but 0.8% ownership, less than 1%. He's also the most advanced Brighton player. He had 4 goal attempts, 3 penalty area touches as well, and Brighton still have a decent run of fixtures, so he would definitely be in my player to take a risk on section. Also, if you try to save a bit of money, so say you've fed up on Perez, you don't want to give him that one more chance against Sheffield United, you can downgrade 0.5 million to Trossard and free up the funds elsewhere if you are looking to get Perez off the books. So that's going to be it for this game week 3 video. Hopefully I'll see you on the stream on Friday, and hopefully this video is pretty useful. If you like it, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and as always, have a good one.